our laws as it pertains to substances are draconian and bizarre. The psychopaths start this way. He was an alcoholic because of social media and pornography, PTSD, love addiction, fentanyl and heroin. Ridiculous. I'm a doctor, for sake. Where the hell do you think I learned that? I'm just saying, you go to treatment before you kill people. I am a clinician. I observe things about these chemicals. Let's just deal with what's real. We used to get these calls on Loveline all the time. Educate adolescents and to prevent and to treat. If you have trouble you can't stop and you want help stop it, I can help. I got a lot to say. I got a lot more to say.
Hey everyone, welcome to today's special show. We are just going to be taking your calls and commenting off Restream, which I'm watching rather carefully now. And Tom says he has a question. Well, he knows a physician that can answer that question. Did everybody see the very recent headlines that Omicron is now about 75% of all cases in the U.S., according to one study? That's interesting. And I would argue that's a pretty good thing because I don't know about what else I'm seeing out there, but the Delta surge that we're having now, which was anticipated and well predictable during the winter months, it's pretty nasty. It's pretty nasty. And Omicron may provide some degree of protection against Delta, so that would be kind of nice. In fact, I saw a study that suggested that people that have hybrid immunity, meaning vaccinated, then infected, and in that order specifically, have really high levels of immunity against all forms of the virus presently out there. So there we go. Of course, you know, the more virus, the more we worry about a big mutation. But, you know, it's interesting that the Omicron came about because there was someone with persistent infection. I mean, that's a thing that the virus needs a chance to sort of replicate in a given individual and sort of, you know, be subjected to certain what would be considered evolutionary stress over time, as opposed to person to person to person. So it made sense to me that that would be the environment we would start to see more crazy kinds of immunity. By the way, Susan, I'm only seeing Twitch and Facebook on our. Well, there's one YouTube. Did we hit another strike or something?
No, I see YouTube.
Okay, good. All right, there we are.
I don't see Twitter doesn't go on there anymore for some reason.
Interesting. Matt was vaccinated in February from Moderna, got third dose in September, started last night, tested positive. I feel I have a mild flu. Seems like tonight worse than yesterday. Should I get antibodies or ride this out? Matt, depends on your age. If you are in a risk category, you might get antibodies. Well, I tell you what, I'm thinking, I've not done this yet, but I'm thinking that people that have vaccinated breakthroughs, particularly with Omicron, that fluvoxamine may be a very good drug for people in that category, as well as budesonide. So the budesonide inhaler, and boy, Tom's on fire today. I think that's, somebody said, oh, macaroni. Budesonide inhaler and fluvoxamine, and then Decadron for some people to get sicker, and then, of course, monoclonal antibodies if you're in risk categories. So what's the matter, Susan?
Tom's on fire.
Yeah, he's coming after us. Go ahead. Now, Susan?
Put him out if he's on fire.
I see. Got it. Is your mic open?
Yeah,
Okay,
just not
good.
very close to it.
Okay, Matt has Crohn's and takes Stelara, which puts him in an extra interesting category. So yeah, you might want to talk to your doctor about monoclonal antibodies. That makes it very different. If this is your first case of COVID too, we don't know sort of how you're going to do with it. This is somebody. Oh boy. Has anyone seen the South Park episode? It's a two-parter about the future that we live in because of the pandemic. And as always, it is genius. And I urge everyone to look at the South Park. It's on Paramount Plus, but it's a parable, everybody. And it's you can learn a lot from just watching certain South Park episodes. And this happens to be one of them. So anybody else that's seen it, please let me know here on the Restream. So lots of questions coming up. Let me just get right to it. Let me start at the top. And this goes as Steiny. There we are. Dan, what's going on?
I was just curious about the new strains, if they show up on the home tests and with COVID.
Yeah, they will show up in terms of positive, but they won't tell you which strain you have, right? Does that make sense?
So if you get Omicron, if you take a home test, it'll tell you if you have COVID, though?
It should tell you if you have COVID. Let me double check before I Yeah, it should. And you're talking about the rapid test, right?
Yeah, the home test.
Let me see if there's any difference in any of the rapid tests.
Man, these rapid test companies are making a fortune.
Yeah.
Dr. Yo tweeted the other day that they ran out of rapid tests in the CVS. So before we go to New York, we've got to stock up.
Yes, and there is an important point. The FDA did. I'm glad I looked this up because I read this the other day, that there were 3 COVID tests that were sort of highlighted by the FDA that are missing a lot of the variants. So 3 COVID tests, molecular tests. It is Applied DNA Sciences, Meridian Biosciences, and Tide Laboratories. All returned false negatives. So those 3 are not worth using right now at all. And again, we are in the middle of a little surge here with Delta. So a lot of what you're going to be seeing is Delta. Forget a little surge, pretty intense surge. And as such, everybody, mitigation efforts, stay safe, get the antibodies if you need it. If you have Omicron, the antibodies aren't going to work so well. There is one that still does work, however. People should be very aware of this. Let me double check this. Monoclonal antibody, I forget the name of it, that's why I'm looking it up. Antibody and Omicron. It's called it's got a funny name, as of course they all do. It reminds me of Stelara, interestingly. How do I say it? Here it is. Sotorvimab. So it's STSOTRO. Sotrovimab. I'm going to write that down, so I have to look it up again. Sotrovimab does still have activity against Omicron, so you can take Sotrovimab. Now, if you're really sick, if you're sick enough to need, my kind of feeling is, again, this is all early days, but if you're sick enough to need monoclonal antibodies, you're probably having Delta. So proceeding with monoclonal antibodies of any type is probably a good idea. Chris, what's up?
Hi, Dr. Drew. Happy holidays to you and Susan. Thank you so much.
I understand there was a little, heard there was a little kicked in the nuts and punching action in your house. What happened?
That's not what I'm calling about, but yes. That was the first phone call from school I've gotten like that.
Mm-hmm. Good. You don't want a lot of those.
I figure, if my son kicks another kid 2 times in the nuts, he deserves a punch to the nose.
Yeah, okay.
But what did the other kid do? That's what I always ask him.
To get the first kick in the nuts?
Jordan bit
You're
Julian.
You're a better mother than I am. I just always assume that it started with mine.
Oh, Jordan bit Julian, remember, at school, and they called me in, and I said, well, what did Julian do? Jordan never hit because he just bite. And,
I'm sure the other kid was being a dick somehow, but
yeah, it was Julian. They stayed best friends forever.
Kick to the nuts. A double kick to the nuts, it's kind of hard to brush that off.
The double kick is what I found curious, frankly, Kristen, because it's hard. Once you've been kicked once, how do you get at the person for that second kick? That's kind of hard.
He's a tenacious kid. What
Evidently.
can I say?
Evidently.
Got a double kicker.
Yeah, God help me. God help me. My question, I watched a documentary today, and it was about a condition in children called PANDAS. And PANDAS is short for Pediatric Autoimmune Neuropsychiatric Disorders associated with streptococcal infections.
It's from strep, yeah. It's a post-strep phenomenon. It's sort of, it's much like, many other things in medicine that become sort of vogue. It gets a little overdiagnosed, but it's a very important thing to think about.
I was just curious because, as we've talked about, and with you graciously, over the past year and a half, just dealing with some behavioral disorders with my 8-year-old. All of my kids had their tonsils removed super early due to reoccurring strep throat. I always joke that the EMT should name their boat they purchase after our last name because we had 3 tonsillectomies right in a row. But it's just when I was watching the documentary and seeing the behaviors associated with this disorder.
But it's a lot of other things too, my dear.
Exactly.
That's the problem. And so certainly bringing it up with your pediatrician is very important, but it's usually pretty obvious when it's that. It's usually pretty obvious.
I don't know why we can hear your voice in her
my
background.
voice. Yeah.
I don't know
your
what that
voice
is.
too.
Next time, use earbuds.
Sorry. I must have had such a significant talk with my 6-year-old that it just echoes through every
the
single medium.
Feed him to the Tyrannosaurus Rex out in your front yard. So.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't have nuts, so it should be okay.
Also, I'm going to do a quick little disclaimer. If you guys come on and you talk and then Drew talks for a long time, just mute your phone while he's talking.
Microphone. If I get long-winded. All right, Kristen, have a great holiday.
Merry Christmas, you guys. Thank you.
God bless you.
Merry Christmas.
Keep up the good work.
The good parenting.
Yeah.
All right. I think this is Kara. Let's see.
Somebody wants to know if we're having our singing show.
I know. I saw buddy.
12 days of COVID.
That cracked me up. Graham.
We could change it. There's new protocol.
Hello, Dr. Drew.
Hey, sir. What's up?
So I want to ask a question about like family gatherings, about Christmas. So one of my family members won't be a part of the family gathering unless everyone's vaccinated, but we want everyone to be tested negative so everyone can be together. Is there a difference between someone who is unvaccinated with a negative test versus someone who is vaccinated with a negative test?
Ooh, that's a great question. So is there, if you're, in terms of their infectivity, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that there's a one-to-one correlation between a negative or a positive test even and then infectivity, nor am I convinced there's a one-to-one correlation with lack of infectivity with a negative test. So let me just start. I'm a little biased on that because I've seen tests all over the place. In other words, I've seen people in ICUs sick with COVID who don't test until well into their hospitalization. And I've seen people turn negative on day 3 and not turn positive. It can be very confusing and be all over the place. So, but we at least think that if you're not producing enough virus to be able to be detected on a home test or any test for that matter, assuming these tests are reasonably accurate, then the probability is you're also not likely to infect other people. That's sort of a general, provided you're not having any symptoms. That's sort of a reasonable place to start, even though it probably isn't exactly accurate. So let's just state that up front. In terms of vaccinated versus unvaccinated, I can't think of any difference. It's a really great question. Other than here's where it is. There's a slight difference. In the unvaccinated case, you're more likely to produce a lot of virus and you're more likely to be sick or to get sick. So you could be one of those people in the early phases that aren't being picked up on the screens, but are producing virus. Now, whether that person is infective or not, this is where I'm a little uncertain. Probably not, but it's unclear. So there is probably a slight difference. And that's just strictly. I don't know of any evidence of that. I'm just reasoning my way into, backing my way into that position by reasoning about the test results. So I'm going to say there's a slight difference, but nominal, if any. Can
I just follow up with one thing? Yeah. We're just looking for creative solutions, like just to keep the family together, like. So if you have anything about that, I'd love to hear
Outdoors or windows open or fans. I mean, this thing hates moving air. It does not transmit in well-ventilated spaces, out of doors, or moving air. So I know it's wintertime, but you can get the heaters out.
Get a new parka.
The out of doors. There is just it's a little different with Omicron. To be fair, all the other variants did not transmit outside. Just didn't. This one, you have to be closed for long periods of time, that kind of thing. But I think out of doors is the one sort of, solution to all.
We went to a birthday party. We didn't know we needed a PCR. We got the PCR. It was $150 a person, and then we showed up, and half of the people invited didn't come.
Right, because they didn't want to get tested. We assumed they didn't want to get tested, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was hard. We had to get it within a certain. It was like flying to Europe or something. We had to get it within a certain period of time.
Yeah. Well, after we got the PCR, they said, "Oh, it's okay if you get a rapid test." And I was like, "Oh, great." They're still expensive, though. I mean, if you have to get your paperwork, because that's part of it. What a racket! My God.
Stephanie says, is Omicron variant the worst yet? Depends what you call worst. It looks like it's very mild in the predominant cases. It's certainly the most infectious yet. And, it's, hey, by the way, speaking of talking about sort of controversies around COVID, did everyone see Z-Dog's little commentary? He did one on Instagram. I immediately said, well, I need to talk to him again, that I thought was pretty much spot on. And people were attacking him for what he was saying. And I thought that people don't really understand what he's saying, if that's the case. Let's see. What's James asking me? Good. Okay. The vaccinated people are efficient at spreading Omicron too. That's true, Marion. That is absolutely true. That the vaccine is not doing a lot with Omicron. It's doing something, but not a lot. And it's certainly helping against hospitalization.
Did you see Flora Mae Bunny?
About the sing-along?
How dangerous is it for someone currently in chemotherapy to have people visit the same house? Concern for her dad.
I mean, it's not something you want. I mean, again, I'm sure he's been vaccinated. But
there's been like rumors that people on chemotherapy don't catch COVID as much, or they have less. I mean, I've heard stuff like that.
I don't.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. So I'm not sure I'd put much on that. Look, people that are fragile need to be careful. That's the way this illness is. How dangerous is it for someone currently in chemotherapy to have people visit the same house?
That's what I just asked you.
I know. Flora Mae, there she is. He put it. It's Caleb being quick on the trigger here.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Sorry, I didn't see that.
I mean, obviously, you want to do your best to mitigate with him. You want to be careful, right?
Yeah.
I think I don't have a lot of confidence in masks. But you could always have everyone use N95 masks and distance and ventilate, and then and vaccinate, and you're in pretty good shape at that point. You really are, even somebody that's very high risk.
Yeah.
I mean, let's see if we can not be panic stricken this holiday season like we were last year. How about we do things reasonably? And by the way, take reasonable risk. Why don't you ask him, how much risk he's willing to take? That's always the case. No one asked elderly people last year what they wanted. They just subjected them to things. Some of them want absolute mitigation, and no risk. Some of them want to take risks. That's okay. 26-year-old son had a breakthrough. ER did EKG, had a Moderna, which was normal. Did not test for COVID. 10 years since last seizure. Oh, just wondering if Moderna COVID might cause breakthrough seizure. You sure? I mean, anything. If you have bad seizure disorder, almost anything can cause a breakthrough, to be fair. So I'll make sure he, has his levels checked. That kind of thing.
Mr. Nubby one asked if he can ask questions here.
Mr. Nubby one?
Yes, you may.
Where is Mr. Nubby one?
Mr. Nubby.
Oh my God. So let me go back to the Z-Dog commentary. He was, one of the things that he was canceled for, as is always the case, was talking about Peter McCullough. And specifically how
he used the word Peter McCullough.
Yeah, I know. And he was able to stay on you. Well, he did it on Instagram. Maybe that's why he did it there. But it's that he was saying that McCullough was so focused on the early treatment protocols with ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine that it obscured the good data for early treatment that was available for medication like fluvoxamine and Decadron. And I thought he is absolutely correct. I've heard stories now where physicians have been unable to prescribe fluvoxamine because it's not part of some protocol.
On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me
fluvoxamine.
A big fat fluvoxamine.
Yeah, it was really...
Steve Kirsch fluvoxamine. That would be the
TS
opener.
says there was a cruise ship outbreak. I don't know anything about that. I'd be interested. There's a lot of news everywhere right now. There's a lot of stuff going on. And we're in the middle of a surge, and probably all of you know somebody that's got COVID, and I'm betting you all of you mostly know people are doing pretty well. Either they're doing well because the COVID is mild because of Omicron, or they're availing themselves of these great treatments. We have monoclonal antibodies, and as I said, sotrovimab still works for Omicron. The other ones all work well for Delta. Get them early, get them fast, get them as quick as you can. Most people are vaccinated pretty well against this thing, which is also good. We have fluvoxamine, we have budesonide, we have Decadron. We have a lot of good stuff now, and we hopefully, God willing, will have Paxlovid any day now. But why the FDA is taking their time with that is beyond comprehension, given how quickly they got the vaccines out. And usually they are more stringent on vaccines than they are on therapeutics. So,
okay, we have 57 people on Clubhouse. Let's see who can ask a question.
yeah, if you want to ask a question on
Joe Giannotti.
Oh, was you up there? If you want to ask a question on Clubhouse, all you have to do is raise your hand, and I will see it.
There.
And I will call you up to the podium. If you do come up to the podium, you will be streaming on. You'll see why I'm smiling in just a second.
What happened?
Just hang on. You'll be streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, and everywhere else. Let me bring this gentleman up with a strange acronym under his name. What is your name, sir?
Hey, yo, it's Kenny, boy.
Yo, buddy. It's my boyfriend.
What's up, man?
What's happening, buddy?
Your boyfriend.
How dare you get in the middle of this?
What's up? What you mean? We a throuple. We good.
So what's going on in Austin? How's your mom's house?
It's good. We just got done recording. I just got back.
And
is there a live show coming up?
Like tomorrow or something? Or the next day?
It's on the 21st, right?
Wait, is there a live show coming up? You said tomorrow?
Yeah, well, what's happening 12/21/21?
We saw an ad, maybe it's already been recorded, for what looks like a live show. We saw it like on Instagram. And it said 12/21. And it was...
What the heck?
It may have been recorded already, maybe? Is that possibly not live? I don't know.
That's definitely not us. What's today? Monday?
Not us.
Tuesday.
It was you.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Christine
maybe there's a different live show.
Yeah, Christine had a blonde wig on, which is not unusual. Let me...
Oh, I know what you're talking. You're talking about the behind the scenes documentary is coming out.
Oh, is that what that is? Okay,
yes, our friend Paul Brazil came and films the behind the scenes,
and that's about the live show, right?
Yes, you get to watch me connect a bunch of cables and stuff. It's super cool.
All right.
I'd watch that.
And did Paul go with me to our Robert Paul Champagne's house?
That's the man.
Paul, he's recovered from that experience. That's good. I'm glad he's
doing well now. Yeah.
It shook him up. I must tell you, it was rough for the poor boy.
So, Annie, did you get a box full of grunties today?
Grunties?
A box full of what?
Grunties.
What does that mean?
It was a Christmas gift I sent to your house. Did you get it? It said it was delivered from Tipsy Elves.
Let me check my. Oh wow! I have a lot of stuff on my porch. I think yes.
Open it up.
One of these must be you. Holy wow! I have a lot of things.
Yeah, open the Tipsy Elves. It's
open
part
the
of your
Tipsy
gift.
Elves.
Like you guys are getting a nice gift on the 22nd, I think. But I saw these in it. I thought of you all. I thought they were good. You can pass them out to whoever wants them.
Is it edible?
Whoa, chair. I don't know what's what. I'm gonna have to open them all later. There's like 15 boxes on my porch.
Yeah, well,
so I'm gonna.
I don't know if they sent them in different boxes. It should be all together, but look for the box from the Tipsy Elves.
Okay, I will do. Thank you. You're so kind.
Hand them out. Well, there's one thing that's an extra large. I think that will fit in a dog, right? And then the rest are kind of like mediums, but.
I mean, I don't know. He's been slimming up.
Has he?
Oh,
okay.
Really?
Slimming up.
Well, you can give it
to
to Tom or whoever, but.
So when I come out to Austin in a couple of weeks, I told Susan to prepare herself. See what if you watch your mom's house and you watch my show, Dr. Drew After Dark, you will know. I think we just did an episode where we tell Susan that we're going to take. Well, we don't tell you guys. Tell Susan you're going to take her to a strip club.
They want us to get drunk together and then.
And I don't really have strong feelings one way or the other, except it sounds like good content. and so I figured that being the case, we're going to do a show in the run up to the strip club.
Are you allowed to tape in a strip club?
Yeah, see that is the real unfortunate part is I think I'm pretty positive we won't be able to tape on the inside. But yes, I think it would make sense to do a show before and after.
That's right. So Susan's going to be on a couple of shows.
Please don't give
up.
me the 10 o'clock slot, okay? Because that's really early for me.
I'll let the dog know.
Here's the other thing.
He's going to give me the 10 o'clock.
We're going to be in the new studio. We're going to be in the new studio, guys. Right? Yes, Annie?
Am I losing you?
You think that's funny?
We will be in the new studio, correct?
Oh, there we go.
When is the new studio going to be ready?
Well, when we come out. It's in the new studio, right? Annie's phone is screwing up.
We lost him.
Hold on. Hold on. All right, are we back?
I'm here. You've been here the whole time. Are we back?
Yeah, he can't hear us for some reason. Did you?
Okay, yeah.
Did you hit the mute button on the Clubhouse, Drew?
What's that, Susan?
No, it was a reception thing. You were cutting in and out, so I think it was just my phone. My connection.
It could be my phone too, because
I'm sure it's on.
That's interesting. But will we be in the new studio when we come out?
When you come out, I don't think so.
Damn.
I'm pretty sure no, not yet.
What? What's this
I think
take?
so.
That'll be January 6th.
Yeah, because it's so it's like a 2-tiered sort of plan, you know. So like the first studio that has, YMH and all that's still being finalized. We're not even 100%. So once that gets done, then it's the Drew and WMA, et cetera, et cetera.
Got it.
So what do I wear to a strip club?
The least amount possible.
I still think we.
I mean, I don't want to stand out like a mother of 3, hagamuffin.
Trying to impress.
I don't want to be a hagamuffin. I want to be I want to not be noticed and wonder what to wear.
You dressed great last time.
Okay.
And maybe we
same thing.
We'll get another steak dinner in there too. But here's the deal.
Hey.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, I want to get a steak dinner.
We'll do that too.
I'm with it. I can't wait for all the bread.
I know, it's so good.
But
I have to set that up early.
But I do think we should be able to take some iPhone video, right? Of at least everyone going in and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Like barely,
Okay.
It's like if the staff even sees a phone, they're gonna be like, "Yeah, get the hell out of here."
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like we got to be super covert about it.
Right.
Not inside though. Inside we're done.
Taping like earbuds or something, and I guess you don't have earbuds on.
Going in undercover. I don't think we should do that.
I want to be undercover mother.
But
no, I mean you can't show the women. Obviously, like that's just against the rules. They don't do that.
What's this?
Unless you like cleared it with them in advance or something.
Yeah, like if it was a whole thing, then yeah. But yeah, we're just gonna.
We'll just have to use our memory.
Exactly.
Right.
All right. Well, we'll
exactly.
See. We'll
paint the picture. We'll paint
Don't
the
get
picture.
me too drunk. I won't remember anything.
We'll see what you guys can concoct. I know you guys are up to the task. Up to the task.
No tequila,
my friend.
Oh, you know
I
it.
won't remember shit.
And I'm just
Drew. I did have a question for you.
Yeah,
actually.
let's do it. What's up?
I'm curious about this COVID stuff, right?
Yep.
So there's like the Omicron and the Delta and the Shalmadadon. So if you got is it possible to get multiple of it at the same time? And could it turn into like a super COVID? That's probably a dumb question, but I wanted to ask for the boys. It's not a dumb
question, and people think about those sorts of things, but once your immune system turns on, you're less likely to get infected. I've never seen any cases like that, but in theory, it's possible, I imagine, but it tends not to happen. Given how prevalent Delta is and how infectious Omicron is, it's a really interesting and legitimate question. The other question would be, would you actually get sicker with both of them? And I'm not sure you would. In other words, it's bad enough just to have Delta, right? And the Omicron piling on, I'm not sure they're not necessarily additive or synergistic in some way. And I've not seen any literature that really talks about that. And Delta, people are saying on the restream Delta is worse, which it is. Delta is way worse.
If you did get both, would you technically have Delta Omicron? Coronavirus?
I imagine that's what you could call it, Delta Omicron. And the question is, would you have both immunity? Would you have double kind of versions of immunity? And the answer is probably yes, right? Because your immune system has to clear both viruses, so it has to really identify both. And Omicron has some special features that I'm imagining your immune system would probably react to. So that, again, I have no literature on this, no evidence of this. I'm just reasoning my way into this opinion. So it's just a loose opinion I have. All right, buddy. Look forward.
Drew, you better get your booster for the strip club.
That's what I'm thinking. Have you been vaccinated yet, dude? Yeah, see? And but have you been tested for antibodies? See if you've had it yet?
Nah, I don't really like needles,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking. More content.
He weighs 150 wet.
Right.
He's
he doesn't have
fine.
to worry about it. Yeah.
He's young.
That's a good guess.
Don't kill him.
But here's the deal. I'm
doesn't
really
need it.
good with needles, and I'm thinking more content here. I could draw your blood and send it off.
Yeah, let's just scrap that idea. Don't
Okay,
like
make
that.
sure you open up the Tipsy Elves box and distribute my fabulous gifts.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And then
I will
there's
right
good
away.
ones coming on my birthday, which is Wednesday, by the way, hint, hint. So just they should be emailing all you guys.
Emailing. Ooh,
I
nice.
think, yeah.
On your birthday.
Couldn't find it. If it doesn't go through, let me know. If you don't get an email from me or
So
us.
Outstanding.
Any produces Dr. Drew After Dark, but he's like scared of needles. What's going on here? What?
Yeah.
Oh, Annie has
Yeah, I'm scared of doctors too. I don't know if that's
he doesn't
he has
trust doctors.
curiosities. There's curious things about Annie that's why we know Annie so well. I got fascinated by these curiosities and I started going down the rabbit hole and deep we went. Everybody. You'll have to look back at some of the old shows to see all the territory.
If you and Nadav could model the present I sent too, that'd be great.
Okay.
I will immediately. I'll get on it. I'll get on it immediately.
It scares me to think what
put it
might
on
be ahead
Instagram.
for us. All right, buddy. I got to get to other callers here. Appreciate you calling in as always. Look for IG Live. I'll start to do a couple more of those over the week here. All right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll be
man.
on.
All right, buddy. See you
Good
soon.
times.
Thanks,
All right, man.
Drew.
Bye.
Thanks, Susan. See you.
You're
Happy
welcome.
holidays.
Merry Christmas.
That
Merry
is
Christmas.
Annie, whom we love and who is an integral part of your mom's house. And not only does he run all the technical elements there.
Do you want to know what I got him?
No, because he's still listening.
Oh,
So I don't want to. You can tell me off the air.
it's
here.
funny.
All right, I'm going to get Casey up here
I should
now,
get
'cause
you one, too.
Casey's a big Annie fan, so I'll give him a chance to say shout out to Annie.
Well, I can tell you half of it.
Casey, what's up?
Yeah, we're doing a test. Test 1, 2, 5, 4,
Spoiling
3,
Christmas.
2,
You're
1.
on.
Am I on?
You're on.
Yeah, you are.
Outstanding. Of course, I'm a huge Annie fan. As a matter of fact, the reason why I raised my hand is because the 16th of this month was Casey's birthday. And Casey got booted from Annie's Twitch stream right about the end of the night.
Why? What happened? What'd you do?
I don't remember, actually. I was going to ask Annie.
That's not what you call a good sign.
Too much tequila?
Not a good sign.
It actually was Corona.
Yeah.
Of course, that's how
Too
I,
much Corona.
that's how I get through the viruses.
As they say, blackouts are not a normal relationship with alcohol. So funny, but not funny.
Yeah.
So be careful.
Yeah, good luck with that.
No, yeah, it was good times. But actually, one of the things, do they know about the show yet? Do they know about the special?
Well, we're not going to promote it till we know.
That's
it's gonna
what I was just
show
wondering.
up.
I was just, the whole thing is, should we keep this on the low?
I will
Well-
let me take the heat for this.
This is like the Aaron Carter thing.
we
It's
are
like,
we are working
Right.
on our
It's like herding cats.
yes
So
we are working on our friend RPC, who's another Your Mom's House fixture, one of the original troubling videos that Your Mom's House studied endlessly. That sort of with Just Glass in it and Try It Out and Four Stroke Gang and all those guys. Those were the sort of the original classics.
right.
And RPC is another guy that fascinated me, so I went and visited him and did a deep
So,
dive on that.
but we
gentleman.
have to keep him on the line and have him organized so that he'll know when to show up and he will actually show up because
Susan.
he's
Drew,
one of those
I
people.
swear,
I've booked a millions of them, and you have to be on him every second. So
I'm gonna get up at 10:30, 11 o'clock tonight and make sure he is actually in the sack, in bed, ready for practice tomorrow.
Yeah,
he got a
practice.
nice little butt chewing for me today.
don't stress him out. It's okay.
No. He likes the
Well, tell him it's
he
my
likes the guys
birthday
that tell
and that
him.
I'm really looking forward to it. It's
There
it's
we go.
big. And Tom Segura is very excited for us
yes.
to do this.
outstanding. Caleb's so quick with the banners. I love it.
You know. All right, Casey. Thanks for helping out with that. We really do appreciate it. And
No worries.
be
No
care-
worries.
be
Love you
careful.
guys so much and happy holidays, right?
Happy holidays.
Yeah, good luck
indeed.
with that
Thank
thing
you
Wednesday.
for calling in.
No worries.
We'll with the test run, so to speak. All right, let's take a little break, and then we will come back with your more of your questions from Clubhouse and on Restream here. I'm watching you guys, trying to answer where I can. And one thing about Twitch, if you color on my screen, if you color your screen name, I can't see it. So it's hard for me to respond to you by name. So, all right, we'll take a little break. Be right back. I want to give a shout out to our good friends at Blue Mics. If you've heard my voice on this show anytime over the past year, including right now, you've been listening to Blue microphones. And let me tell you, after more than 30 years in broadcasting, I don't think I have ever sounded better. But you don't need to be a pro or have a fancy studio to benefit from a quality mic. You may not realize it, but if you've been working from home or using Zoom to chat with friends, you probably spend a lot of time in front of a microphone. So why not sound your best? Whether you're doing video conferencing, podcasting, recording music, or hosting a talk show, Blue has you covered. From the USB series that plugs right into your computer to XLR professional mics like the Mouse or the Blueberry we use in the studio right now. Bottom line, there's a Blue microphone to fit your budget and need. I can't say enough about Blue mics, and once you try one, you will never go back. Trust me. To take your audio to the next level, go to drdrew.com/blue. That is drdrew.com/BLUE. Anyone who's watched me over the years knows that I'm obsessed with Hydrolite. In my opinion, the best oral rehydration product on the market. I literally use it every day. My family uses it. When I had COVID, I'm telling you, Hydrolite contributed to my recovery, kept me hydrated. Now, with things finally reopening back around the country, the potential exposure to the common cold is always around. And like always, Hydrolite has got your back. Hydrolite Plus Immunity, my new favorite, starts with their fast-absorbing electrolytes and adds a host of great ingredients. Plus, each single serving easy pour drink mix contains 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, 300 milligrams of elderberry extract. Hydrolite Plus Immunity comes in convenient, easy to pour sticks that rapidly dissolve in water, make a great tasting drink, has 75% less sugar than your typical sports drink. It uses all natural flavors, gluten-free, dairy-free, caffeine-free, non-GMO, and even vegan. Hydrolite Plus Immunity is also now available in ready-to-drink bottles at the Walmart next to the pharmacy, or as always, you can find it by visiting hydrolite.com/drdrew. Again, that is HYDRALYTE.com/DRDREW. Be sure to use the code Dr. Drew 25 for a special discount. Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm just handling some business here. I am right with you.
So Drew, are you freaked out about all the numbers like 12, 21, 21 or 12, 22, 21?
No. I understand that numbers are very, very arbitrary symbols.
I just noticed on the restream it's 222. So
I thought it was kind of cool when it was a palindrome.
Yeah.
Where it goes forward and backwards.
Well, that's my birthday, 12, 22, 21.
Right. That's kind of cool. That's interesting to me.
I know. It's going to be a big day.
It's because it's your birthday. That's why it's a big day.
Yeah.
But it doesn't disturb me in any meaningful way. People get funny about numbers.
And I have a 2 in my birthday number too, but I don't want to say the first number. Because I'm always the same age as the year. So like in 2022, I'll be
that
42.
That number plus 2.
Yeah.
That's really funny. Oh, goodness. Well, happy birthday, honey. Good job.
I know.
Done.
Well, I'll be back. You guys can say it on Wednesday.
Yeah, on Wednesday. All right, let's get back to the phones here. I'm going to try to get everybody in here. Okay.
And tonight we're going to be at Above Ground, downtown LA at the Ford Theater with Dave Navarro.
Yeah, he has a big fundraiser for Music Cares, which is a great organization.
Yeah,
for a long,
that'll be fun.
Time. We're getting to your calls
Hopefully
here.
Hopefully we won't catch COVID.
Jawar Hall.
I think I'm going to wear a mask backstage.
You got to help me pronounce your name.
Jawar Halal.
Jawar Halal. Thank you so much. What's happening?
Hey, I'm one of the people that was double vaxxed and got COVID and then long haul COVID.
Oof, nice, well done.
Yeah, so I'm in the process of working with Kaiser's long haul clinic and a psychiatrist and maybe getting Luvox soon. So that's promising.
Good. I mean, it helped me like crazy. What are your symptoms?
I have the chronic fatigue and post-exertional malaise.
That is what helped. I swear to you, that fluvoxamine was astonishing how well it worked on that symptom. It didn't work so much for the fog. Do you still have some fog too?
A little bit.
All right, so not bad. So if you can get that fatigue, and it's a weird fatigue, right, man? It's like you want to just you want to get out, you want to get off the couch, you just can't.
Well, I'm getting the post-exertional, trauma, or if I have mental trauma or emotional stress or physical stress, all of these things seem to trigger a flare of this fatigue and muscle pain.
Oh, muscle pain too. That's interesting. Now, did you go to covidlonghaulers.com and check out some of the protocols they're using there?
Yeah, I have done that. I'm also in some Facebook groups that are recommending autophagy or fasting and all kinds of supplements. I mean, I'm kind of trying everything.
Has anything been helpful?
Well, cleaning up my diet has helped, but mostly I've just been pacing, right? Like I haven't been exercising, and so I haven't been having flare-ups. I've been being very low key. But the question I wanted to ask, I just read another thing saying something about something called a stellate ganglion block. It's helped a couple people. Is this a safe procedure, and what do you think about it?
It's a very safe procedure. It's essentially going into your neck and blocking a sympathetic ganglion. I don't know what would have led them to try that for long hauler, unless you had POTS, right? You know, the sympathetic instability syndrome. Do you have that also?
No, I don't believe that I do, and my heart rate is pretty normal.
Yeah, I am guessing that was designed to treat POTS because that's sort of going at that issue a little bit. It's not a major procedure, but if you look online, people use that procedure for people that have excessive sweating. There's different ganglia that they hit for the hands versus the face. I think the stellate is for the face. And people, you will find, if you look online, people reporting drastic emotional changes after that. In other words, and it makes sense to me that that's a real thing. It shouldn't bother you, but the fact that your sympathetic sort of system is being blocked, it makes sense to me that the information getting to your brain, which is the source of feelings, could be scrambled up a little bit. And when you see people online, they get very exercised about it, very excited, very upset, very unhappy with it. So it makes me wonder if it's a group that already had something going on and this just made it worse or something. So I wouldn't say, hey, you're going to get that reaction, but that reaction does happen. And so I wouldn't rush to a stellate ganglion block. What about Miravirac or a statin for you?
I mean, these are all things I can ask the long haul clinic. I haven't been in contact with them directly yet.
Okay,
so.
That's according to Dr. Yo, they've had a lot of good success with those, just statin alone, and then Miravirac also. So those are the two things to kind of talk to them about. Okay.
Okay, I will do that. Is there an email where I can send you that report where you would see it? On the stellate ganglion block?
Oh, please send it to contact@drdrew.com.
Okay, will do.
Okay, thank you. Interesting. Thank you. That is an interesting way to try to treat that. Let's hear from Joe. I haven't talked to Joe in a while. Hi, Joe. What's happening?
Hello, Dr. Drew. I hope you're having a great night. And happy early birthday to you, Susan, and happy belated birthday to Casey.
Oh, yeah. Happy birthday, Casey.
Casey's was on the 16th. Is that right?
Right.
Yep.
That's right.
Happy birthday,
wow,
Casey.
Look at you.
Look at me.
So,
and Flora
I want to ask
birthday.
you. Yes, and it is Flora May's. Happy birthday to her too. I had posted on Locals the 12 days of COVID from last year.
Oh my God, how funny!
Of course, that was the day before you caught COVID. And,
was that the day before?
Yeah, and then I
Too
sang
funny.
it in my sleep. Remember, I heard.
Yeah, because at the end of the episode, you're sitting next to Susan. At the end of the episode, you're sitting next to Susan, and you said that you were trying to get your vaccine shot, and you weren't able to get it.
Yep, that's right. I was running around the hospital trying to get it the day before.
Uh-huh.
No, it was actually that day.
Was it that day?
Oh, the 22nd.
Yeah, 22nd. Yeah, the 22nd. I was trying to get it. Yeah, for her birthday, I was trying to get it. And if you remember, in the early days, the South Park guys actually shined a bit of a focus on that. And when they're going forward and backwards in time, they go back to 2021, and everyone's trying to get their vaccine, but they don't meet the right criteria. They're not from the right group. They're not the right this. And I was the victim of that nonsense. Right. It was so ridiculous at the beginning. Ridiculous.
I want to bring up something. I want to bring up, and I hope this is not too controversial, but it is in the mainstream news on how the CDC. The CDC is advising against the Johnson & Johnson vaccine for
everything.
The very condition that I have been living with for over 25 years.
Wow.
It's a little different what Johnson & Johnson caused. It's called VTE. You have immune thrombocytopenia, right?
Right.
Chronic immune, which is an immune attack on the megakaryocytes in the bone marrow. This has some of that, but it's more of what's called a consumptive coagulopathy. There are antibodies directed at the platelets once they're formed that bring them together. And that's where you get into trouble with the Johnson & Johnson. And by the way, there were some reports recently about the mRNA vaccine causing it too, just not as likely. But it's different. It's a different thing than what you have. But you have antibodies against your...
Drew's going to get the Pfizer booster.
I used a word that I should have defined. Megakaryocytes are the cells in the bone marrow that break off the little pieces that become platelets. And I know you've studied this extensively. And
I know. Well, the thing is, you have no choice. Having a condition like mine, I have no choice but to do this extensively.
Yeah, I know. And well, if you remember, you were there, as the controversial sort of opinions sort of evolved, whether or not somebody like you should get it or not. At first it was yes, and then it was no.
Right. And right now it's still no.
It's still no, I know.
It's still no. And so here's the thing. I'll bring this up. I'm not afraid to bring this up. Essentially, I've been living in purgatory. I feel like a prisoner in my home. Now, I'm working on cognitive behavioral therapy.
Good.
I'm working on cognitive behavioral therapy.
Good.
And the thing is, but there's only one problem with that. The one thing is that I have to do it very slowly, because if I get hit with any cold, it could be hard hit and this is my question for you. Have you ever researched a prisoner, someone who was actually in prison for, say, 5 years, we'll say 2 to 5 years.
Okay.
And then came out of prison? I mean, their immune system must be shot.
It doesn't really work like that.
Yeah, please educate me. Please educate, because this is a very important topic.
There are all sorts of different. What are you doing here, Caleb? What do you got that? Yeah,
I'm just showing the article.
That was the original article. Now they're just saying don't even take it because it's not having adequate response to a lot of the vaccine, a lot of the viruses. But once your body has been exposed to a virus, it's why kids get sick all the time and adults don't get so much, because a lot of that immunity that you collect during your childhood is, some of it at least, is relatively permanent. You have these T cells left behind that can recognize it and present the antigen, the virus, to the B cells and create a big response.
Because I haven't been sick in 2 years. Knock on wood, I haven't been sick in 2 years. My vitamin D count is the highest it's ever been.
That's good. There is concern, though. People are saying, that we are not being normally exposed to viruses, and is that going to create a sudden surge of stuff? There is concern about it. It's not a zero.
Well, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, it's not a zero concern thing, but I wouldn't single you out as especially prone to it. I think it's a thing that, if it gets going, it's probably
and
not gonna be a big deal.
Lastly, because
it'd be a big deal if you had emphysema or something, but if you don't have other chronic lung disease or something.
No, and I don't drink. I can't drink because of ITP anyway. But I don't drink. I only drink water, and I'll email you my latest blood work. I just got my more blood work done today. But my last question, because I'm sure the audience wants to know, I think this is a very important question, involves Novavax. Now that it seems like Novavax is making its push,
it seems like it's going to come out soon, doesn't it?
It seems like the EU has passed it for them.
Yeah.
For Q1 of 22. So
yeah.
I'm hopeful. And again, here's what I'm going to do. Unfortunately I have to wait, because I have to see, like with everything else,
if there are reactions.
If there are reactions, specifically with with thrombocytopenia.
I understand. I'm telling you what, your Paxlovid is going to be your companion. You're going to be your friend.
Well, I have fluvoxamine on hand.
Fluvoxamine, good. Steroids, good. Monoclonal antibodies, good. But really, you're going to have to get the strong antivirals once they become available. And God willing, it'll be any minute.
I hope.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I hope so. We can, because we need to end this thing. I mean, this thing needs to come to an end. Yeah. And there are ways that it can come to an end, very soon. Now, hopefully Omicron, which again, you talk about seasonality, it doesn't surprise me. I think and I'm expecting. Actually, it wouldn't surprise me if there is a bit of a surge come spring and summertime down south with Omicron. I don't think Omicron's going away.
Interesting, because you saw that last year, right?
I saw it almost to the T, I think.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, that will be interesting. I mean, certainly the winter surge was not a surprise, right?
No, and this, by the way, the summer surge for Delta was not a surprise.
Right, exactly. Well, Joe,
thank you, Drew.
I want to get you out of your funk. I want to get you out of that
we'll
prison
be in touch.
you're in. All right, man. Good to talk to you. Have a happy holiday. Okay.
I smell funky.
Okay, good.
FBO.
Oh, my goodness.
Or this jacket does.
Love feel best.
The way you like me.
That's the way I like you. That's right. That's right. Let's see what the screen name actually is.
Spraying out pheromones.
Love feel best is not coming up, it looks like. Happy to have you, though.
All this COVID talk makes me hot.
Here we go. Love, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going? Sorry about that.
No problem.
Looking away for a second. I was just wondering, because I've seen a lot of like differences in the world of like medicine, as far as like medications being harder to get for my older family members that might have chronic pain. And I was wondering if like the data shows that there's a decrease in opioid deaths, or if the opioid epidemic has been decreasing since the government sort of started making some greater regulations.
Huge. Well, it switched. Here's what happens. So I mean, I've been living with this thing forever. So there was overprescribing of opiates. Then those doctors, which was not everybody, but those who were overprescribing, cut those patients off, made them addicted, then cut them off. And when you cut patients, opiate addicts off, they have to go somewhere to get their opiates, and they went to the streets. So this is where heroin went up, and then fentanyl took over from heroin. That's where most of the overdoses are coming from now. Before that, it was oral opiate with a benzodiazepine. I can't even tell you how many patients were killed by that. It was an exceedingly common problem. Again, benzos being the Valium, Klonopin, Ambien, all that category, Librium, Ativan, and then the opioids, of course, are the pain medicine. When you put those two together, they are a very, very, very dangerous combination. It's what killed Prince, for instance, and killed God knows how many of my patients. Now, that's not happening anymore. That's really not happening so much because the government put the fear of God into the physicians, too much so. Now, people that have legitimate chronic pain disorders can't get their opiates. I will tell you there's one bright spot in all of that, is that Suboxone is now being used more broadly for chronic pain, and it really works like a son of a gun. So if you're having trouble getting your opiates, see if you can find a way to get to a Suboxone prescriber, because that tends to be easier. But yeah.
Is that the sublingual?
Some of it is sublingual. It can be sublingual. But it's too much. We've gone too far in the other direction, where people that have legitimate pain are having trouble getting their opiates. So as usual, this pendulum goes back and forth. What should be happening is doctors should be properly trained to use their judgment and not be interfered with by all these regulatory systems. And, it's how we got the opiate problem in the first place. We got in the first place because the JCO, the state commissions, the professional societies all developed, and the VA developed this posture that pain is the fifth vital sign, if you remember that insanity. And that if your pulse could be 0, they still want to know what your pain scale is. Like, give me a break. But the pain is the vital sign. They started prosecuting doctors criminally and civilly for inadequate treatment of pain. And that's where the whole thing really got inflamed. And now they're doing it the other way. Now they're criminally prosecuting doctors for overprescribing of opiates. Now that's creating the underprescribing to people that really need it. So, it's a challenging problem to get it right. And if people were properly trained and had a lot of experience with this, maybe they would get this right. I don't know. Thanks for that question, though. I'm going to Nubby One. Let's see who Nubby One is.
I like that name.
Nubby One, yes. I will get to you guys. Nubby, what's happening?
Hey, Dr. Drew.
Hey.
Sorry. Anyway, I had a question in the Twitch chat, which I think you sort of answered, but I was 32. I was born with one hand. There's a name for it, but I never really learned it. So my left arm doesn't go more than about 2 inches past the elbow. My question is, in the past 2 years or so, I'm starting to get like spasms in my hand.
Like it's moving strangely, like it's actually spasming.
More like a pain. It goes up from my wrist through where my ring finger and middle finger are.
Right. So because you have only one hand, I'm guessing you lean on that hand a lot, and the fact is you'd be at risk, it seems to me, for carpal tunnel syndrome. And does it wake you up at night?
Doesn't wake me up at night. I work a very physical job, so I'm constantly lifting things.
There it is. That's how you get it.
When it first happened, I actually dropped a case of stuff, and I've gotten to where I can deal with it. It lasts like 15 to 30 seconds. I guess my question is, arthritis is in my family, so does that make it more of a risk if I'm using it too much?
Well, yes, sometimes, but not necessarily. And you're not describing arthritis. You're describing sort of a neurological pain, a nerve pain. Let me see. I'm trying to figure out your hand deformity, what the name of it is. I've heard of it before, and it's not coming up. But if you have pain, and particularly if you cock your hand back and you tap on it, and it causes right on the wrist, on the volar surface here, and it creates sort of a electricity feeling down your hand, that's diagnostic. I mean, that's pretty much what that is. And typically, you can wear a wrist splint at night while you sleep. Just because you can get it from the pharmacy, just a splint at night, that will help that, or get an operation. And most people that have bad carpal tunnel do need an operation, and it can be other things too. It could be an ulnar nerve entrapment. It can be things in your neck sometimes. So it does need a proper evaluation. If that makes sense.
That actually kind of makes sense, because I do. When it happens at the wrist, about a minute and a half later, I have a pain in my neck.
Yeah. So, but carpal tunnel also goes back up sometimes. So again, you need to see an ortho and get it properly dealt with. I mean, these are highly, highly treatable things. Highly. All right.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And they'll probably will do an X-ray as part of that evaluation, but it doesn't sound like it's a joint problem per se. The X-rays show the joint health, right? And that's it. Marlise, what's going on there? Marlise.
Hey. First of all, as a follow-up, about the time you decided to get your black eye and look like you'd been beaten up, I was in a trauma center here, and they were trying to find out if I was throwing clots a week after the Johnson & Johnson shot, and I ended up having giant platelets. I had them consistently for almost 6 months to the day after the shot. The last blood work, it's finally gone. I didn't have to have pathology review my blood work.
So what did the platelet number change circulating? Was it low?
Not dramatically.
Okay, so lower. And
mine's always been unusually high.
Interesting. And how did they explain that? What did they come up with a theory about what was going on?
Nah, they just said it's weird.
It is weird. It is weird. And with
remember, I'm in a part of the country where that drug I can't say
remdesivir
is still considered first line of defense against COVID.
That's not good.
So no, I'm in a very bizarre world, and so if I just say, 10 days before or less than a week before this, I have my Johnson & Johnson shot, they think I'm an anti-vaxxer extremist.
Oh my goodness.
Well, because there's a lot of, I'm in Western Montana. Come on. We have rebels out here.
Interesting.
But I don't like getting lumped there. But I have something totally non-COVID to run by you.
Okay, hold on. Let me. People are having questions about what you've presented here. Giant platelets. Sure. The platelets are these small, tiny little particles of cells that come together to cause clots, essentially. They aggregate together. They're activated and aggregate, and they come off bone marrow cells called megakaryocytes, something I said earlier. And the antibodies in VTE, the Johnson & Johnson reaction, bring the platelets together. They may also cross-react with the megakaryocytes and change the way the megakaryocytes produce the platelets. But when I think about larger platelets than they should be, again, that's something the pathologist calls when they see platelets that are bigger than they should be. I always think about platelets being consumed. So I'm guessing that you had some sort of consumption going on, which is meaning clotting going on somewhere in your body, which we know the J&J does. And so it makes sense to me that you might have had it. You might have had a little something like that. Weird.
Yeah. And I just like it when everybody, it is what it is.
There was an article that came out yesterday in JAMA, I think it was, that suggested that people that have this syndrome should be taking Eliquis for a long period of time. And so, which is a anticoagulant, which is interesting because bleeding is one of the complications of all this. So it's a really tough call, but they're saying that it did seem to help. The Eliquis seemed to help. So what's your question?
Well, and I'm just going to say, I found it interesting that they said it had nothing to do with the shot or they poo-pooed it. But 6 months later, I'm past due for a booster. I was not going near a booster. Then it's gone again. So
what's
that's
gone?
all I'm going to say.
What do you mean, what's gone?
The giant platelets disappeared.
Okay, well, you certainly
later.
should not get J&J again. You might want to get Novavax when that gets a little bit of a track record, and you could think about mRNA vaccine.
Yeah, right now, I'm thinking lots of immune system boosters and just good hand washing.
Paxlovid when the time comes, when that's available.
Yeah, I'm just, at this moment, I don't want to go through that again.
Good.
Okay. So I am only 61, I'll have you know, and I am not old.
Good.
But I had to go see a cardiologist today because it showed up again. I have a ascending aortic aneurysm at 4.1.
Okay.
And so once again,
was that on CAT scan or ultrasound?
It's shown up in both because we had the CAT scan kicked it. I've had echoes and stuff like that done in the last couple years.
I think I do too. I actually do too. I think one of my CAT scans, I got a calcium score and it showed a 4.1 diameter on the aortic root. And, you follow it. It doesn't really mean anything until it gets up around, 5, right? 4.8, 4.9.
Well, here's the fun anomaly. So I was at Mayo Clinic and I was very ill with something else. And the word Marfan came up. But they weren't going to mess with it because I was too sick with other stuff.
Are you a super tall person with tall, long digits?
Well, this is why it's confusing, but I thought you'd get a kick out of it.
Okay.
I'm 6'2.5".
Okay.
But my dad is 6'5" and my mom's 5'10".
Okay.
The stuff that caught the doctor's attention today, though, is my hands are the size of my father's, who's 6'5".
Okay.
I have a 37-inch inseam. And then I look at my siblings, and they have these beefy bones, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
There's 6 of us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the only one with these real fine, delicate bones. And I'm the only one who nailed my food addiction. And everything about me is different. My face is different than the rest of my family. I actually have cheekbones.
Mm-hmm.
But all of those things are so dramatically different. I have the real high palate. I should have had it broken years ago.
So
I'm leaving it alone.
You need to get genetic testing, right?
Guess what? I see the geneticist next month.
You'll have to call me back and tell me. I'm fascinated. Marfan's is an interesting syndrome, right? Very interesting.
Well, and for them to not figure out that I had all these traits of it until I'm 61 is kind of interesting.
I have seen a lot of that. And some of it is, I think people are afraid to raise it with patients. You know what I mean? They just, hey, I'm just a thin, tall person. What are you talking about? I think there's a little bit of stigma or resistance or something. Doctors think of it often, and it's so rare that they just go, why? What are we going to do anyway except screen for aortic root dilatation, which you've now documented.
Yes.
Thank goodness.
But they also intervene much earlier if you have this than if you don't.
That's true. But again, once you show up with it, which again you could argue whether you should have been screened earlier or whatever, they're gonna think about these things. So interesting.
I thought you would get a kick out of it.
I do get a kick out of it. I've thought of Marfan's a few times in my career with patients. Sometimes it's with psych stuff because Marfan's do have a little more on the psych spectrum, bipolar and mood stuff. And when it's aortic root dilatation, aortic valve, certain kind of aortic valve disease. So good for you. Happy holidays.
Hey, enjoy your holidays.
Thank you,
Take
dear.
care, guys.
Give me an update. We
Bye.
appreciate that. Well, we have so many. Josh, go ahead.
Hey, Dr. Drew.
Hey there.
I was just wondering about I feel like I need therapy or I could use therapy, but
then you should
I
get
don't.
it.
Yeah, but I don't really feel comfortable kind of doing it. I read a lot of psychoanalysis.
None of that has any benefit.
Yeah. I figured you'd say that.
It's a brain healing another brain. You need the satellite central nervous system, preferably in the room, though there is some benefit to Zoom. You can start with Zoom or any of the Zoom therapy.
Yeah, what do you
stuff
think
out
about the move towards this impersonal kind of therapy?
Impersonal?
Well, the idea over telephone or over Zoom.
I think it's useful. I've seen it work a lot. I've referred people for it, and particularly in this. Let's put it this way: it's been way more effective than I would have predicted. It's been way more useful, and it's definitely a way in. I don't think you can do it forever and expect to get a lot of great progress out of it, but it's definitely a way into treatment. And if it's something short term that needs DBT or CBT and that kind of thing, then it really is good. But in terms of deeper emotionally focused therapies, that kind of stuff, you kind of need bodies in space. But brains do not get better on their own. They do. I mean, you can improve with medication in terms of mood and anxiety, but brains do not rewire without the input of another brain, at least in the limbic system, the emotional systems.
Do you think it's possible to come to sort of a revelation in hearing you or hearing other or psychoanalysis theory and stuff like that at all? No,
it's not really no, because here when I'm educating people, I'm trying to show them what the situation is so they understand why they need to be in the room with another person. I'm always saying, here's what your condition is, and here's how it works, and that's why you need to go to therapy, or that's why you need to have a sponsor, or that's why you need to go to groups, whatever it might be. So I'm always using the biology and the explanation of the syndromes as a roadmap to make people feel comfortable to go get what they need. Now, can cognitive input, can intellectual development help with managing certain psychological and psychiatric stuff? The answer is yes. I mean, it can help. I mean, it can help give you some insight and some understanding, but it really won't change what's happening. It won't change what's going on in you. It will change how you express it or deal with it. In other words, if you have, let's say, unregulated aggression or something, you go, oh, there's that again. Maybe I can control it, or maybe I can redirect it another way. And by doing so, and by changing the behavior associated with some of these emotions, sometimes you change what's going on inside too, because you'll start to experience yourself in a new way, in a context with other people typically. So it's, again, experiencing yourself with other people.
So I guess like that intervention is huge, because then you say, why are we here? Why are we talking? Because otherwise it's just all up in your head.
Right. It's just, it's always, your emotional systems are doing what they do, and then your cognitive brain tries to understand it. That's all the intellectual side. Your conscious brain is always making explanations. Somebody told me just today, which was, if you ask your brain a question, it will give you an answer. And that's exactly what happens with emotional systems. You're always asking, what am I doing? What's that? Your brain's trying to make sense of what you're doing all the time. It's never directing the show. It's coming up with explanations for what you're doing and why you're doing it. It's not the reality. The reality is always on a deeper level. And so
when we're led by the emotional mind, that's why we can't actually improve, because we can
improve. Depends what you mean by improvement. I mean, these are you're using very really all or nothing kinds of terms. So you can improve, right? But you can't really change. Real change happens in an interpersonal context. It's very hard to do it. It's almost impossible to do it on our own in a meaningful or substantial way, particularly as pathology. If there's pathology, the way pathology is constructed is specifically not to give you access to it. That's why
if you're not in therapy, if you're not in therapy at all, let's just say you don't have a therapist currently, there'd be no way for that person to change.
Again, you're using these superlatives like no, impossible, no way, it won't happen. I can't say no way. I mean, people have had experiences that do change them. They do it, whether it's through mindfulness or, they're or changing their behavior or again, it can change. It tends not to happen. It certainly isn't an effective or efficient way to do it. But what I want to discourage, the least effective way is to try to use your cognition to figure out what's going on, because your brain will not show it to you accurately. It's almost impossible without a reflective function, somebody outside of you reflecting back to you, telling you what's being experienced, how you're being experienced. We just don't. The brain is just not wired that way. It's just how it's set up.
I feel like a lot of the cognitive behavioral stuff is, some of it is homework. Some of it is this is what you need to do on your own and remember these techniques.
It is, and again, that's going back to trying to change what you're doing and thinking. So again, in new context, you will do something different and experience yourself differently in an intersubjective space, in an intersocial context, in a social context. Thank you, Josh. I've got to finish up more calls here. I appreciate it. Anthony's hanging out, and maybe we'll finish up with Anthony. Anthony, what's going on, buddy? How you doing, my friend?
Hey, how are you, Dr. Drew?
I'm good. What do you think of London Breed and her about face on homelessness?
I didn't catch that about face. What's going on?
She originally was when she was in the state senate, or she was in the state congress of some position. She was very good on homelessness. I was a London Breed fan, and then when she became the mayor of San Francisco, she suddenly became a completely different person, and now she's going back to the person I knew her to be, which was, she's going to try to help people. She's going to, you know how it is when you're in your disease. You don't necessarily think it's a problem. You have anosognosia and you don't necessarily want help. She's going to push the issue a little bit, which I think is going to be great.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad that more people are paying attention to it and being aware of it, because the more conversation we have about it, the more, attention
more
and
progress.
maybe some resources. Right, exactly. I was sitting there thinking, because based on our conversations, back and forth, the homeless thing is a whole spectrum. It's not just like acute and chronic. And, if we could start looking at it on that way, maybe we could find some different solutions.
Well, we're going to maybe get you in touch with some of these people.
I'm all for it. But I like the conversation about when we were, for one thing, about the whole being in prison. Does that make your immune system weaker? I think it makes you stronger, to be honest with you.
but he was sort of speaking metaphorically. In other words, if you're in a bubble and not exposed to anything, I think that's what he meant. But you're right. Yes, I think you're absolutely correct. That's true.
Yeah. And then, God, there's something else somebody said that really resonated with me, but I don't know. Oh yeah. If you, the way to improve your thinking is to hang out with smarter people, in a sense. But because I know I'm learning that the more information I input, the more thinking goes and neurotransmitters flying and neural pathways are created. I'm getting slightly more smarter.
Yeah. But you see how it's really other brains that get us there. We don't. It's why we have teachers. It's why we have therapists. It's why we have 12-step groups. It's why we have sponsors. It's just you need other people to really make these things happen.
Yeah, and so that's totally cool. And so and it's really interesting too, because when you hang out with people who act in lower levels of behavior, you tend to not grow.
Right. Because everyone co-signs their BS. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm just, I'm grateful that I was able to see the light, and it's cool, that you bring this to everybody's attention.
I'm trying.
And then my last thing, and I have to thank Susan for this too, because she's my fashionista. I'm trying to, when I go out places, I'm like sporting the outfits like you'd wear with like the little shirts and a jacket, and people think I'm like
I would wear.
Yeah. He's sending me cute pictures of himself.
Well, it's we are. I just love what you're doing. Just keep doing it, man.
He likes your style, Drew.
Keep coming up to the plate. That's all. It's, you know what I mean. It's like they keep coming back, right? Same idea.
Exactly. It works if you work it.
That's right, my friend. All right, buddy. We'll talk soon. Have a great holiday.
All right. Thanks. You too. Happy birthday, Susan.
You bet. Ooh, happy
Thank
birthday
you,
to Susan.
Anthony.
We got to wrap this thing up. We thank you so much for stopping by today, and Clubhouse. We appreciate all the questions there. We're we're going to wrap up Clubhouse. Annie, thank you for being here and staying here. I just see that you're there still, my friend. And we will see you.
Yeah, if you want to come say hi to RPC.
Oh, RPC on Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
We'll see, Annie, if we get him in. If anyone wants to, from your mom's house wants to swing by and see RPC, that'll be Wednesday.
I don't know if you guys want to, but
Wednesday afternoon. But overall, we thank you all for being here. Have a great holiday. If we don't talk to you, Jason Waller in here tomorrow. Is that correct? Tomorrow,
Jason Waller.
Jason Waller, of course.
And the doctor. Do you have the doctor's?
I don't know the doctor's name, but he's having a colleague brought in. Jason, of course, long-standing recovering guy who's at a very interesting.
We need a banner with the doctor on it.
Very interesting and challenging recovery, but he is all the way in now, and he's a pleasure to be around. So anything Jason is interested in, I'm interested in. So we'll talk to him tomorrow. Wednesday, RPC. Thursday, Annadelle Barber. She is a EMDR specialist, and she has a new program that I want to raise awareness about to get into risk populations, particularly for people of Black and brown folk, to get their therapists who are from those communities trained up in these trauma therapies, particularly with EMDR, so we can get something that is so needed out there. I mean, what Josh was talking about in terms of getting better from getting therapy. Trauma therapy is the number one ingredient that people need these days. So,
I just got a PR media inquiry for a thing, Alliance Cinema. So
okay, we'll see what that is.
Looks pretty good.
All right, and we thank you for Clubhouse. I'm going to end the room there. We appreciate you guys hanging out, and we also very much appreciate you all that were here and on Restream. We'll be back tomorrow with Jason Waller at 1:30 Pacific. 1:30 Pacific.
Yeah, it's going to be early.
Early tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Annie, what does it feel like to have Dr. Drew caressing your footsie like that?
Sorry. Let me use my mouth. Let me see. Hold on.
We're done. We're done. We're done. I quit. I'm out.
Ask Dr. Drew is produced by Caleb Nation and Susan Pinsky. As a reminder, the discussions here are not a substitute for medical care, diagnosis, or treatment. This show is intended for educational and informational purposes only. I am a licensed physician, but I am not a replacement for your personal doctor, and I am not practicing medicine here. Always remember that our understanding of medicine and science is constantly evolving. Though my opinion is based on the information that is available to me today, some of the contents of this show could be outdated in the future. Be sure to check with trusted resources in case any of the information has been updated since this was published. If you or someone you know is in immediate danger, don't call me, call 911. If you're feeling hopeless or suicidal, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 800-273-8255. You can find more of my recommended organizations and helpful